Just like Dom's outfit, they're not always pretty. Sometimes they're really ugly. But
Just been all over Amazon and just about every site looking for these mustard pants. And,
my wife will tell you she wants to burn mine.
People actually listen to your show.
They watch.
They
Yeah, I
watch
told
it.
you. Yeah.
play defense in that first half like Dom transitions to you after the game. It's way too long, way too lazy, but
You got all these answers. I'm going to bring you over and have you do our non-conference schedule.
I'd love to. I'd love to go to Grand Canyon,
I would
man.
love.
Hey,
well,
you're
you
doing
can
that
come with.
game.
That's not the thing.
I love when you're on Dom. You're so transparent. And I'm like, so two things are happening. That one, people are watching your show,
Yes,
listening.
yes.
Right? That
Yep.
caught me a little off guard. I'm just being honest.
People are watching as we get ready. This is year number 5 of us having a weekly conversation with the head men's basketball coach at North Dakota State. David Richman joins us on a Thursday because you got a game tonight, but we're going to do this on Tuesdays, I was told. Your handlers are telling me Tuesdays is going to be the day now.
I got some handlers now. Like
I
I
bet
got
you
like,
do.
for my schedule and how big time that I am, Dom. Like I got handlers everywhere. Hey, I found 2 more people that listen to your show.
Really?
2.
We got 2
Yes.
more? Holy
2
cow.
more.
All right. What did they tell you?
Yeah, we had an event on Sunday at the Sanford Sports Academy.
Yep.
Down south.
Yep.
Great spot, by the way. And Emily Dietz, Freddie Coleman, Brian Sean, great people out there running that. I got to see Paul Wixo, but a couple came up to me and they said, we love listening to your show and you banging on Dom's mustard pants. And I'm like, well, if they knew that I said those, they must be listening. My royalty check is just waiting for that thing.
You know what? I'll have it for you at hand tonight at the game, okay? So
I feel like for the last 4 years you've said that, Dom, and like you can tell the man the truth once and he'll hate you for a day, or you can lie to him and he'll hate you your life.
You know how big a deal is? Stace is doing the game tonight, so you go find Stacy in the truck, and you guys can hash it out tonight. Okay? I know it's a big deal. So.
You're just passing the
Of
buck.
course I am. That's not.
Passing the buck.
Hey, it's one viewer, one listener at a time. That's all we're building. So
That's right.
It's great to see you. We're getting ready for a game tonight, which hopefully we're going to have a nice crowd. We had a great one last year for when the Dragons and the Bison played. You played a game last week. I know you're all about wins. That's all you care about, but it's an exhibition game. So how do you guys gauge that last week where it didn't count, but it was your first time playing on the floor?
Yeah, but man, I tell you what, Dom, like I wrestled with this thing for a while and was really excited, very appreciative of the opportunity. And I think how I've summarized it is my ego hurts, right? And but at the end of the day, it's not about me. And here's what I mean. Let me put some context to that. Like the last how many years that we've been doing this, last weekend would have been a closed door scrimmage.
Yep.
So nobody would have seen that. And we would have attacked it, honestly, the same way we went at that game on last Thursday night, where we played 12 guys very consistently. Nobody really played over 20, 21 minutes. There were some situations that a normal game, like I would have probably called a timeout, but I wanted to, test our guys and plow through some things. But at the end of the day, we got beat, right? And so you leave that with that feeling like, okay, here we go. The season's on. Now you got that feeling in your stomach. But in retrospect, I wouldn't change a thing. I wish we were better. Always, from a standpoint, I wish we had more points than the Gophers on that night. That being said, in an exhibition game early in the season, I think it was a very, very important for us that we obviously have a brand new team, for me to see some new parts, test some new parts, see how some different rotations and lineups work together. And I think we got a lot out of it. There were some guys that maybe didn't perform like I would hope, and that's part of it. There's some guys that we're not going to play 12 guys. We're not going to play 12 guys tonight, and we're certainly not going to play 12 guys as we go forward against Oregon State. And even the reality is after break when we start league, we're not going to probably play 10 guys.
Yeah.
And so some of that is addition by subtraction that we're going to work through. But there were just so much new. I mean, Don Clay and Riley Massey played their first ever game. Carson Smith sat out last year and never really played a college basketball game. Damari Wheeler-Thomas, sat out, last year too. So I remember him coming off the first time. He's kind of got this smirk. He's like, wow, that felt different. That felt weird, and You got two junior college kids. Well, one, Travion Carson, who's never played Division I basketball before, who I was very impressed
Yes,
with. By
yes.
the way. Max Marley had been a couple years for him. And then all of it just all new to us, right? So, a good start for us to put something on paper. I thought, for the better part of 30 minutes, we were right there and very competitive. I thought we looked the part, and I didn't see anybody physically or just like maybe tentative out there necessarily. Maybe a little bit the freshman, which you'd expect, but I think encouraged and excited to move forward. And I'll take the ego hit of getting beat.
Is this another data point then tonight to say, okay, we're going to run, this is who we got out here to determine what my rotation wants to be for November 3rd?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, Jason and I are good friends, Jason Camp, Coach Camp, and, I think both of us are going to continue to keep things very vanilla. But also from a standpoint, I think there is just certain, I kind of, habits and rhythms, we call it, blocking, tackling, not getting penalties, like how hard are you going to play, how tough, how together, those things, that under the lights, like coaches are still evaluating some things, and execution is a huge part of college basketball, make no mistake. But if there are certain foundational things that you don't have in place, and certain guys don't understand, those foundations, those roles, those responsibilities, well, how you execute really doesn't matter. So a lot of those are still being tested. And listen, I'm more transparent than ever. Like and I guess I'm just going to just flat out vomit this like I always do. We need to get some production from, some bigger bodies on our team. Rebounding is a important part of college basketball, and we got to rebound the basketball. We got our tails kicked on the glass against Minnesota last year. I told you last year, like I thought we were an okay defensive team from a first shot defense, but we didn't rebound like historically, like at an elite level like we had. And so some guys have gotten challenged, this week that we got to be better, and that's okay. Like it was October 16th. Tonight's going to be October 23rd. Like if we had our poop in a group, right now, and we were perfect, then what would these guys need me for? They wish they would, so they didn't have to see me, but they get to.
We got to see a couple highlights of Travion Carson, which was our first glimpse. We saw highlights, Dave, but everybody puts a resume reel. You're going to put your best stuff out there when you're in the portal. Seeing him out there play, were you more impressed with what he brought to the table, or is this what you had heard and seen throughout the portal process?
Well, I don't know, like to your point, like it's very hard to gauge clips, right?
Yeah.
And again, DMAC is a very, very prestigious program, and they've had a lot of success, so no really offense to them, but you're just moving up levels.
Yep.
Now I would say we had seen some things in practice in the summer and the fall and early here in the preseason practices that we're like, hey, I think we got something here. This is a very competitive man that moves young man that moves really well. And what Travion did is win. And he won in high school at state championships. What he did at DMAC is, take them to national tournaments. So he really understood winning. What we had to encourage him to do a little bit was part of helping us win and him win at North Dakota State would him be assertive. And what I mean, sometimes, you get confused a little bit with, Jones and I were doing a home visit with one of our commitments last night, and we talked about some of those things. Assertion doesn't mean being assertive, being aggressive doesn't mean the number of shots you take. It means just, how on the attack are you playing? And I was just really impressed with TC. He catching and ripping and attacking, and he made some shots, which is encouraging, but he got downhill. He got to the free throw line. He had, Coach Strage talks a lot, Luke talks a lot about igniting our offense with paint touches. And TC's got the ability to do that. And I still only firmly believe he's scratching the surface. He's got a strong athletic frame. He's got a chance, Dom, to be one of the better two-way players that we've ever coached.
You were talking about that's pretty high praise there. So keep an eye on number 0 out there tonight. You mentioned Damari. What was game one like? He hadn't played a game since March of 24. What was that when you went back and looked at the tape? How he performed in his first game back?
Yeah, like Jones and I were talking about it last night. I just get goosebumps. Like I just love the kid, man. Really appreciative of his approach and what he's been through as a Bison, and in this day and age, like you said, like there's no secret. I'm sure he had people sneaking in and talking to him about, but he decided to come
Yeah.
back. And could he had a different dollar value somewhere else? Maybe possibility, but there's still something about that young man that wants to leave this place a little better than he found it, a legacy. And that was fun. That was all part of it. Like I said, he's coming off that first time. It was like, whoa, that felt a little different. But I saw the same things. I remember a competitive kid that's going to leave it out there. Behind the scenes, he's done an incredible job of trying to lead. And so that's been really encouraging. Did I see a perfect version? No. Did he get a little winded like I anticipated?
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously. But like I said, I've been more open talking about some of these. We have two very, very good point guards, and shame on me, shame on our staff if we're not finding different ways to try to get both Damari and Andy on the court together. And I think you're going to see some. Well, I don't think you're going to start to see some of those things here tonight.
I asked you about a bunch of the guys. I don't know if I asked you enough about Markai Strickland and how his process of coming here, because here's a guy who's played a lot of basketball, played against you last year, that seems like he can maybe not plug and play, maybe that's my words, but can he be that kind of guy for you as the season goes along?
Well, Kai has as much talent to plug and play and be a dude, a dominant figure, in the Summit League and help us impact as anybody early on. An unbelievable man, got a great like gravity like type smile, and teammates really enjoy being around him. Selfless. I have really high expectations for Markai, and I only have those expectations because of what he tells me he wants. And what needs to happen and transpire for Markai is for him, instead of pointing the fingers, to own some things and be more consistent, an everyday guy. We had a great friend come in and talk about us, like to us, like life is about mastering the mundane, owning the ordinary things. If you want to, like, just doing those things 86% of the time, that's our life. Like getting up and brushing our teeth and deciding, like, do we want to put on mustard pants or not mustard pants? Like that's the other 14% of the time where you screw up. But anyways, back to this is like, just getting Markai to understand, 86% of the time it's just doing the simple skills, but using God's, the gifts and talents that he's given me to do those things. I think there's a really, really good version of Markai out there. And again, I need to be careful, but I need to be me. We've got some guys coming in that just haven't had a lot of winning success.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's about us using and embracing their talents and character, but them also now using us and embracing our little details and little things that we pride ourselves in that help us win. And you got guys like Kai, you got guys like Emil Skuda, that are working through those things. Unbelievable young men, unbelievable individual talents that are working to find the little things to be successful as a player and a program, the little things that can help take them to the next level, and obviously us.
Last thing before we break, and we'll have Dave for a few more minutes after that. Because I was going to ask about, because in basketball, you can have personal success if your team's not very good. And in this era of the portal where you got, well, I'm going to go put up 20 and 5 and go and then the portal make some money. How difficult is that to integrate into a culture, a team you want to win, be successful, but also transfer those stats over, if you understand what I'm asking?
Yeah. I don't know if, it's such a valid point. Is, we try to do a great job of vetting. Like, we understand, like, these guys came here for a certain reason, to better themselves and to play more college basketball,
right,
and do those things. Yet, like, we still have a responsibility and obligation to NDSU men's basketball to move it forward, and that's to win games. And but our message to them is we're listening. As much as they're listening to us, we're listening to them. What do they want? What do they want to get out of these things? And that's certainly part of it. I think the easy part for me is because of our successes, because of the individual talented players that we've had in our program, you spend more and more time with GMs and coaches at different levels and agents, and winning matters. And I think there's a prime example right now of Tyson Ward and Rocky Cruiser that are having. If you look last year, their numbers there wasn't like they averaged, 30 and 17, but they were very impactful players on good winning teams. And because of that, now their individual brand and value went up, right? And they're at different places. And so that's just it. It all transcends. Like I've said this many times, all teams, including bad teams, including losing teams, have a leading scorer. And if that's what you want to be about, like we don't want to be about you. And it's all about define. I just sent our guys a text the other day. Christian Braun just signed a Dom Izzo type contract, $125 million. And he was never like the leading scorer in his high school team, his college team, and all these things. But he embraced his role. He won a national championship. I'm sure he won a high school championship or came close to it. Like the Nuggets, he helped them win. And I just think that some of those things are lost as we stare at the sun so much and we focus on just an individual talent. Like I'm a big fan lately of SGA, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Like he's a dude, he is so good. But OKC wins too, right?
All the time. That's all they do. We'll break. We come back. We'll chat more about the scheduling of exhibition games, and we'll go down the memory lane with Dave and Jason Kemp, which will be fun. That's coming up. We come back. Other side of the break. Bison and the Dragons coming up tonight. We're back after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. We've got a few more minutes with Dave. We got Jason Kemp coming up right after. So that leads to the obvious question. What's your earliest or favorite early memory of Jason Kemp? What can you illuminate to that on us?
I'm taking all the credit in the world for Jason Kemp's meteoric rise.
Of course you would. I expect nothing
that's
else.
what I do.
Yes, of course.
I mentioned earlier it was about my ego, the Gopher exhibition. So no, like just obviously like very proud of him. I absolutely love Jason and his family and Michelle and Violet and Xander and just so glad that they're back in the community. But yeah, I mean, I can kind of vividly remember when Miles was the head coach and we were going through the process of, I think it was a GA at the time, and we had a couple of guys in mind. I said, hey, coach, like just some interactions with this guy right here across the river. He was over with Stu Ingen, who I had a lot of respect for over at Moorhead. And I said, I think, the rest is history. He came on and has just really embraced it. He's a hardworking guy. Like there's character, there's virtue, there's values to do things the right way. And, his resume probably looks a little bit more like a natural progression of most college coaches at Division I, Division II ranks than mine. As he and the family have bounced around a little bit, but I'm also not surprised, right? When you work hard, you do things the right way. Certainly the ball has bounced a couple tough ways for them too, but I think he showed his passion for responding and still wanting to be in the profession. And I know he was really excited about being, over in Moorhead and running his own program. And it's certainly different, than being in the Big Ten and those things. But I don't think, again, some of those things are probably not some of those things are better. And, I'll let him speak to that. But too, just, proud of Jason, happy for him and the family and, just love that man.
I got an email to ask you about the scheduling of exhibition games. We talked about this down at Summit League Media Day earlier this month. Asked Dave about how this came about and are these going forward instead of the secret scrimmages? This essentially replaces those now, right?
Correct. Yeah. Like, and I don't need to be careful. And I'm not Bill Self or Dom Izzo or Kelvin Sampson, but you've heard, like, I'm not very pleased with our profession right now.
Yep.
We can probably talk for 2 hours about that. And I will openly admit that we have completely lost control and gone away from, a lot of values that are way beyond the court that I think are more important than the court. And certainly I need to win games to keep my job, but in all those things. But the NCAA, has done a couple good things where, they've allowed us now. These secret scrimmages weren't secret, everything was getting out and there was getting in. It just does another, an opportunity to showcase your team, really get the experience of being under the lights. There's certainly a financial beneficial, to some of these things. Like we were able to get a little bit of money from Minnesota, not nearly what you'd get from a regular game. Yep. They get people in the stands, now that they've opted in. It's another way to, rev share some of those things to generate some money like that. So a great overall thing in the long run. And yes, absolutely. It is something that we want to continue to do moving forward. And, if we can continue to get one on the road and one at home like that,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think we're trying to create rhythms and routines and experiences and habits for our guys, that better us through November, into December, but ultimately, like you hear me say countless times, January, February, and ultimately March.
Here's one I know I'll get you in trouble on. Is college basketball more messed up than college football?
Yeah, it's hard for me to say that it's not right now. But I would always told you that. Like I look at the rule book, and I think we are the Pied Pipers in a bad way. Like
Yeah.
we start the mess, and I can't sit here and point and say that I'm not part of the problem, because I'm also not. I don't have a great solution either. But
I don't know who does. Who does, right? Who has a solution right now, though,
we
right?
need some leadership,
Yeah.
and we need some direction. How long before NBA players are coming back and playing college and some of these things?
Right.
Like this is gross, Dom. This is gross.
Well, what Dave's talking about, and we haven't talked about on the show, it's signed off now that G League players can come play college basketball. Do I have that accurate of what was announced?
Yeah, again, like I'm a headline reader, but
Yeah.
yes, in G League, but like where in the analogy is, or the rationale is European players they were playing,
Yeah.
and depending on what they got, they could come back and do those things and ages. And the scary part is I think we've just opened up another can of worms that why is this stopping this person from doing that, this person from doing that?
Two more things here before we let you go. So after tonight, give us the lowdown of schedule here. The game goes, then you don't play. Obviously, the opener is November the 3rd. What's the layout here between now and Oregon State about, okay, here's the 9 or 10 I feel comfortable rolling with when we get the season started in a week and a half?
Yeah. We're still going to push through some things early in the season no matter what. And I think I need to be able to gauge, okay, let's just talk about a Riley Massey. Riley Massey is someone that I could not be higher on. Love the kid and what he's about. Now, physically and stature-wise, is he ready to compete against a Big Ten team? There were some things like certainly that got exposed the other night. Now, as high as I am and how good and consistent he's been in practice, there needs to be some other opportunities, in fairness to that young man, and maybe some peer schools and things like that. But we're going to play tonight, and then we're going to give them 3 complete days off, almost 4, and like a little bit of a reset. And it's been really, really healthy for us because we're about to go into a grind. When we leave on November 2nd and plow through all the way through right before Christmas break, and we're in San Antonio or down in El Paso,
Yeah.
like it is up, down, and around, and you don't know your head from your what. And so we need to let them reset a little bit. And then Monday we'll come back. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday will be virtually all Bison days. There's still plenty of situational work we need to do, adjustment things that like I said, like you're going to see very vanilla basketball from both teams again tonight, but there's certainly got to be some things from an execution standpoint that we got to get better at and have in our back pocket. But then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, let's go. Here we go, preparing for the Beavers, and we're really excited for that opportunity.
Most important question I say for last: is this a full suit night for you? Or are you doing tracksuit? I got to know, so I prepare accordingly for how I look on the broadcast tonight.
Well, but my faith this morning talked about don't compare, and the last person I want to compare to is my apparel to your apparel. And that just was so easy to say.
Just a layup. I just
Easy
did the
to
alley-oop
layup.
for you.
That
right?
wasn't even a layup.
It was
that
an
was
alley-oop, man. Oh,
that was
man.
the way I shoot free throws. That was a technical free
You're
throw.
not answering the question, though. So are you saving the good suits for later in the year or what?
I'm gonna roll quarter zip with slacks and the Under Armour.
Hey, the jerseys look sharp, by the way. The new Under Armour what did you make of those? They look pretty sharp.
With what's that?
The new Under Armour jerseys, they look pretty sharp, don't they?
Sure. Did you see me with like the chain and all that too as we were doing some of the things?
I did see that. Yeah.
With the kids.
Yeah. By the way, when does the Twitter lockdown start? Is it after tonight or when?
I'm gonna keep going with that.
Really? All right.
Yeah.
I like
But
that.
Twitter is more like Dom Izzo. Like there's just that's a little bit old school, like I've been Instagramming lately.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Hey, proud of myself for Instagramming.
Thanks for the time. We'll look forward to doing this every Tuesday, bud. Thanks so much
Tuesdays,
for
right?
doing. We're doing it Tuesdays at 10. We're going to do this. So,
Hey,
all right.
there's going to be a Monday, and then Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
There's no doubt about it. I'll see you tonight, okay?
You brother.
There he goes. Dave Richman joining us on this Thursday. His weekly appearances, though, will be Tuesday morning, during the season. We got Bison and Dragons coming up tonight. Speaking of that, the other side, we're going to hear from new MSU Moorhead head coach Jason Kemp will join us as they get ready to take on the Bison. Homecoming for him after his time at NDSU. We're going to do that other side of the break. Back after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com.